Hello, Wethersfield, Connecticut. There are further people involved with the schools that were involved. This is from off campuses maintained and on off it through time, further and further with all locations. This is how they are having been using and are using all identity ground features. And in other words, with preemptive uses of a Perone family that I don't know, but the recorded confess demonstrated they sought me out to demonstrate also with a house across the street from them. I don't know their names. He was on a team of a football team. I never had a conversation with him. Associated with a Jonathan Mayano, involved with dozens of people from numbers of different courts, involved leading up to the World Trade Center attack and since. Also with sequence shifts that have whole, like, because I have a neighbor that came into a house that was associated with a former police chief's intimate ties, reportedly, and the house is in other words, and before that also an O'Brien family. Now these things in the past are relevant because these are people involved with the narratives, with people involved with wire crimes with the campuses, where they're preventing actual acts from being subject. And they're doing this in ways because they've been using identity ground locations. So there are two Joe DeMoros. I don't know if they have parents with the same name. I never had a conversation with either of them. You know, I think I sent one in a picture. But these are people who are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved through administrations, roles with remote uses of them. That is also Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut, and Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Roles with a whole bunch of people tied to the same house. And it's a whole bunch of people tied to them. And with the narratives where they've been putting me and other people in fake locations, fake ties to people, trying to record exceptions. So there's a Perone family and I forgot the name of them, and that was recorded, and it's like they're near where there is a corner, because corners are also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved. These are child abuses. A whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family also. But this is also regarding the methods of where the branches individually grouped in together and the police forms together. The Wethersfield police, is actually, they're pretending others simultaneously, which is also evidence, because this is exploited by worse. Now these are overt criminal enterprises, and the witness protection program also tied to the street and the narratives with the fact-cheating nature-oriented wire crimes, mail crimes, roles and sequence shifts and methods of it. Like, for example, the interbranch recorded, confessed, and demonstrated where they have rights to lie. They also do it to hide live aggressions, to hide uses of their identity. Not by accident the whole time they believe out how the other police forms are recorded involved with them. And with a whole bunch of natures of predicate acts where they have the counters to them as types of experts involved with fact-cheating nature, naive fact-cheating nature that was specifically built as that naive fact-cheating nature with all locations that was associated with those laws that were breaching method applied to the human fact-cheating nature in sustained ways, as the slavery of the founding parents of America, per that which is entrenched with slavery sickly distinctly in the North and South before they were even born. There was a breaching method employed here, laws, database relationships since before computers. And this was sustained method. Human fact-cheating nature is going to speak differently. That was propagated. And it was engineered, self-cultivated, individually grouped in together. All locations, areas, states need to hide the same styles of self-valuing, the lie progressions, for time reasons, all that. See, they have everyone kept naive. So I am not a doctor. It is recorded how the physical delusions, like, for example, when they make charts, how they receive and communicate about studies. How do they communicate with the people? They're leaving out all the fake. You know, in the guide that we have doctors that are still fabricating conversations with people, having their names forged per Dr. Shamsi Ali. In other words, we have the where they send people for mental evaluations. They also they're recorded, confessed, demonstrated. They've been using that to sequence shift to hide their roles with all kinds of natures of organized crime with other areas that are relevant, because they're also roles with what is on and off campuses, real motivations, natures, needs, interests for evil, and for criminal and seditious natures of positive and negative treatments simultaneously, identity treatments, uses of other people's names, because it is also recorded how the people who run the prisons and how their family members and how the family members of interbranch, private, intermilitary are kept criminally foreign influence. Now, so they have there are, and there's a Mayor Gold involved with that corner, and that corner's roles with interbranch and private citizens and kids, with the corner of Town Line Drive, with a whole bunch of other nations involved with them, and so trade deals, fact treatment nature, evidence treatments, premises treatments, here and there, hundreds of nations at once that can't defend themselves and ourselves at the same time. They can pretend other, and they'll only get away with it because we don't really have free speech. We have interbranch collusion, fabricating audio and video tied to a whole bunch of ways. Former director of the FBI recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed federal criminal co-defendants of his in a 2006 part of a case /S that was ongoing at the time of my father's death, and people involved with the Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center right before the attack. Documents that had been delivered to the court as proven on time, and when you put it in the court, they timestamp it, and it gets a timestamp. Your legal papers. They post-dated it from inside the court, which was proven, but the post-dated documents had been shown, legal papers had been shown to the Ninth Circuit panel of judges right next to the World Trade Center attack, right next to the World Trade Center, right before the attack. And then we came home to Connecticut. And I came to Hartford, Connecticut. See, they had the investigations, the investigators, and the investigations of that also recorded having been employed to roles with it, specifically to keep hundreds of nations at once sickly distinctly, all having not discernible, evaluating not discern how sickly non-distinctly, because all titles of jobs, all the identity of the ground locations, A through Z, not one could see. So these are not means. One way redeemed. This is native pure. As the system why we are individual grouped together. So what are recorded proofs of this? Are that and how? These are experts that are types of jobs that are time impositioned upon. Where and how, any way they're frustrated, that's not only being exploited, that's having been exploited. That's not only being and having been exploited, they had them the whole time. With opinion natures, conviction natures, with syntax nature, with fact treatment nature, sequence treatments, identity treatments that would not be had they come through. Proper takes on sciences, proper takes on emotions and passions and how people feel, because they have that employed to where and how all the private, everyone A through Z, and the branches of government are kept needing to overt criminal enterprises, private ones originally still forced self-value, victim predators, even on paper, where it could be, see, but we have jobs that are all told to pretend just do the economy game. It's all right to do that, but not a right to do that and to simultaneously prevent anyone who's not involved with those interests and allowed to speak anyway, to prevent us from free speech by fabricating audio and video and then pretending we're making conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories and uses of that phrase are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with a whole bunch of foreign and domestic nations, with doctors that have badges that are involved with mental health care and that have leached into increasing where they are increasingly negative value nature. So we have opinions and convictions also of everyone dishonest per how the interbranch overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and worse than that, keeping that all motivations, natures, needs, interests of treatments of positive and negative and of identity simultaneously. That can't defend that and count and afford counter. And what exploits all locations, areas, and states. So there are a number of men who, when they were kids, they recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles with abuses of Danielle Perron, who I never had a conversation with. She tried to make an exceptional other with her boyfriend she had at the same time as a victim, with her family, with other people associated with a church downtown, St. Anthony's, and around the corner from them, a Fox Connecticut News, like a Thaddeus Grabowski, 2 Mendez police, and a whole Domain family are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed by others associated with them, involved with a whole bunch of interbranch fabricating audio and video with their family members and people tied to them through time, identity thefts, falsified police report roles with them fabricating audio and video transcripts, just putting quotes, pretending things recorded by police equipment. Now, they also have sequence shifts, where and how they have the medical locations involved criminally. And they have where the people live at everyone's homes. The medical location, like the EMS, that. This is also how it is foreign and domestic shared. It's also where they have peace that is originally instilled, where they have a reality that originally instilled per that sustained method against everyone, including our founders, let alone the people hurt most by that those breaching method laws. As sick as they were, sickly distinctly against everyone, effectively having kept to keep from being discerned how sickly non-distinctly, even though it's simple, it's just extensive. So we have to have the short words that are proofs. We have to have the proofs of it, the evidence actual. See, but we have the branches of government also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with crime methods like switching names and forging names, like collusion with the prisons tied to them, since those people were kids, involved with attaching little kids to fake locations, sequence shifts, spreading narratives like that too through time, connected in classes. Now these are the people further involved with the wires, with WFSB, and with Fox Connecticut News, and with Wethersfield Police, and with New Britain Superior Court, and with Hartford Courts, and a whole bunch of people tied to the Connecticut District Court, and to the World Trade Center, and to a Scalora family involved with identity thefts, frauds, falsified police reports, and false imprisonments cliques, all kinds of crime rolls in all kinds of cases that the people of justice have, because Washington, D.C. and World Trade Center is corrupt. There's an officer, Jerry Miller, who also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed there's a Kerr family, Jerry Kerrs. There's a Kerr, Michael Kerr, and the Jerry Kerrs themselves in the past. Years ago, I don't know them. They also roles with investigators who are male and female, being used as victim predators by these people involved with the past victim predators, which is former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants, his lawyer, involved with people that were in other cases they were proven federal criminals. Now, a Leahy family had fake conversations with me about this. These are one of the people. These are one of the people with prosecutors and with judges personally and their family members involved with predicate acts with child offenders, proven that have other natures of organized crime, with doctors that have the connections to the houses and to the locations, further recorded, confessed, demonstrate, confirmed, involved. Now they're using me needing to use your guys' names and locations because interbranch they've been forging names, switching names, and making conspiracy theories against me with other nations, and faking conversations with me about legal cases while WFSB was hiding their life aggressions through time. Because so 2 police chiefs at least have roles, and always all of them originally still all the identities of opinions and conviction natures, especially the identity of law, and differentially in demonstration of what is being exploited, also with that capable of demonstrating to us how it is being exploited, which Little Rap Guy and friends are. This is not. We'll leave that. We'll stay here where there's more than just reality. There's reality that is positive or negative unto itself. There is the law that has prevented free speech by breaching screens and tools pretending other. So, everyone's a good people. I never met or had anything to do with a Hickey family. I don't even know them, but they live right across from the street from one of the from the Perone family, and from people associated with a coach who was also the grammar school gym teacher when I was a kid, and now he's involved with them with all kinds of abuses of kids, as the ones countering with types of counterers, and with a whole bunch of other nations with these trade agreements. They have to do with the identities of the law and what they can say and what they can't, and how they're countering each other and having been countering each other in what they call peaceful contexts. This is a semi-ancient trap that is using the human fact-sheeping nature, the human syntax nature, entertaining what the breaching method knew that nature would keep demonstrating negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures. Not just life aggressions, in demonstration of it, as all database relationships, which were there in ancient times, demonstrably. The ancients, before sciences became criminally re-engineered, tactically, that's most probable and that's most practical. And the proofs of it, too, are when people deny this. They end up quoting that fake integrity, that name drops. Of course, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, all the experts, I forgot that. See, now they're supposed to be speaking. If they try to speak about things, in other words, they speak about locations because they're speaking about people. They're making up fake mental diagnosis about people. They're having fake conversations with people. They're putting those things into databases. They have roles with all these, when they say, oh, this kind of healthcare, that kind of healthcare. They have roles with that breaching method that has employed all frustrated locations. Fake positive, fake negative, overt and insidious negative. Criminal insidious natures of positive. In collusion. So they have this is why and how the value of the identity of the ground locations, like religious locations, and like where they go socially and things like that, and the timing of it. They have everyone individually grouped in together, breaching method of employed, opinion natures, conviction natures. We have to follow mandated law. So the news media and the online platforms were our tricked, hurt, persuaded to by our directors of agencies and their interbranch sources to collusion with people that are preventing counters to an interbranch forging names, switching names that are also roles, fabricating audio and video into their own interbranch databases, in collusion with other people with other motivations, but also with shared ones, with needing to stacking fabricated audio and video into kids' databases, spreading sequence shifts, attaching kids to fake locations, and such like that through time relevant. Like, for example, there's a C.M. Faglione family, that an O'Brien family, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with their roles with the Cololo family. That, don't forget, a Bob Chase recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Phil Cololo was involved with them, with also them. They'll probably try to deny this, but we have to get them on paper if they deny it. Because they have the courts too. They pretended not to realize what was actually recorded, which was their roles with the principal child offenders campuses with more then and now. And they have uses of the charge of harassment, where and how they've been fabricating audio and video with child offenders. Also because of how this is medical organized crime, with foreign and domestic medical families associated with the Department of Transportation and the Department of Motor Vehicles, involved with the identity thefts, frauds, falsified police reports roles, with the many tied to and as the Perron family and the people across the street with them, with whatever narratives are in the coaches' minds associated with John Maiano and his sequence shifts, and roles with the people further involved with the ones on the child offender registry then and now, on and off the campuses of each age and nature. This is simultaneously connected to other relevant predicate acts and confessions and wrongdoing and sequence shift roles and name switching roles on Trinity College and related untimely deaths stuff, uses of them, identity ground uses. So we have a Leahy family that has been with various natures of courts, fabricating fake conversations with me, fake ties to me, sequence shifting, hiding all that is actually recorded when there were recorded, like with the Delaferra family. I don't know them. They're recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by these people that they communicate. They're involved with judges and prosecutors and foreign and domestic medical and fire departments. Also, a Kerr family and I don't know if it's the same one. And Inspector Mike with the Wethersfield town offices. There are women and other people that also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated he was involved with influencing them to roles with their falsifying police reports, identity thefts, fraud, sequence shifts, roles with judges and prosecutors involved with them criminally with that. So when I'm talking about this, the fact-cheating nature of these people and my fact-cheating nature, we have to examine how what is actually recorded, how judges retired and standing and prosecutors have been involved with attaching little kids to fake locations, also with doctors criminally involved with them personally with drugs and such. We have to separate the hospital from their roles with the wire crimes and the forging names and switching names, and get the individuals personally responsible out and end this, because you guys are keeping all kinds of potentials to care for actual medicine and actual health care. See, but we have some fakes and criminal uses of every word / value, like emotions, passions, for example, narcissism. They're fabricating conversations. Ego. They're fabricating conversations. They're, depression. Now, see, we have to examine the natures of organized crime and the methods of organized crime and sequence shifts and medical corruption that various natures of courts are with, because of how they've been exploiting anomaly with medical databases to hide their lipoaggressions. And that is kept the outcome per all identity of the ground locations. These are roads and streets, not just because we evolved to them naturally. This is a breaching method trap designed to exploit how we are a value/value progression, while simultaneously pretending not to realize. So they speak about the humanity of the people. Let's look at New York City with the people stacking. Keep that in mind while we're talking about Hartford, Connecticut, because this is a method that distinctly hurts all nature's identities of cities, value/value progressions. So in other words, where there are a lot of shootings, what led up to that is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. There are gun shops, for example, that are kept by the police forms as victim predators. Not in other words, has nothing to do with guns. Has to do with other natures and methods of predicate acts delivery and cover-ups and needs for that they are involved with, which ties back to how the streets and the parks and how people were filmed communicating, where and how investigations and vetting identities are and have been and are being used to cover up lie progressions tied to themselves, their family members, everyone around them, tied to where and how they are victims, tied to where and how they are victim predators. So we had criminal incompetence that allowed doctors to die when they knew this thing could float in the air, when they knew they had to design something. How many successful engineers are there who could just put a thing and make the moisture go somewhere else and put the filter? You know, you can even have one where you could wash part of it and then just the filter part. You know the words. And the buildings themselves. It is evidence how those zoning laws and the means to the infrastructure and the means to the maintenance of the infrastructure, how that was breaching method employed, and that's recorded. Also proofs of it are how and why people will pretend other. And there are proofs that we'll examine, they have to value criminally foreign influence premises treatments, identity treatments, like theory of relativity with Einstein. There is an identity of relativity that is being obfuscated from your discernment. It is an identity of relationship to itself that is only increasing, and the value of it is only increasing. Its identity of volume is only increasing. It is volume as nature / nature as value distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. So it is invisible but still discernible. It is the identity that all parts of the English language and that all the letters share with themselves individually grouped and together, the same way the 7 notes of our music repeat. And, you know, all exceptions in exception nature are a demonstration of how individually grouped and together how they are connected. Because one identity of volume is inseparable from all others. And because of how and of why, and more than that, and more finite than that, it is making more of itself. So life, we are a quality of diffusion. So we have to have mandated law followed. So CNN is involved with the intelligence community and with investigations and investigators that are also involved and having been involved with the uses of culture, per their roles with uses of time treatments, always too fast, too slow, used together on forever nature, which we're going to call identity, nature, because of its simultaneous identity of relationship to what is positive or negative to itself. And by that which is beyond our control. We didn't invent being humans individually grouped in together. And the groups can mix, and they change, ages, areas, sexes. What doesn't change is the individual. If we don't let ourselves tell the mandated law how it's not followed outside of court and outside of police forms that are recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, they've been fabricating audio and video into their databases and speaking fabricated things and pretending others simultaneously. Now they've been separating subjects and forcing everyone to uses of logic that is forbid for making subjects that require qualifying a number of subjects simultaneously in relationship to one subject at a time, but not leaving out the other subjects and where and how that is being exploited to further exploit, to further keep self-value. Means for all the roles with that, pretending to be about positive and negative, trying their hardest. You guys are like fighters who don't know how to fight yet. So you have to learn how to fight, like boxing, for example. Not against anyone who doesn't have the will for it. See, this is also how they kept and keep the military so overtly, criminally, foreign influence, self-value, pretending other. This is how they keep the branches of government, the same thing. Locations, areas, and states of every modern country, nation, territory are criminally foreign influenced, our delusions wrought. So we'll examine how James Madison brought the counter-extorted people to roles with the Boston Tea Party. We'll examine how they make people make opinions and convictions, other note positive and negative treatments, identity treatments that are in collusion with what is off campuses, knowing that it needs to exploit such. Where and how they effectively kept and keep investigations, investigators, and vetting identities. See, where they kept that, they also had everyone else that doesn't realize where they're putting things in, pretending to be rightfully involved with everything, but using everything bad that happens to hide how they have roles with it, which goes back to the vertical and horizontal database organized crime method that also has the Facebook policing and the YouTube. So in other words, all the policings of the internet, when they have the sense and sensibilities of that's hate speech, that's that. They're making overall isms. They're furthering, being used to further where and how. There are predicate acts against people. There are sequence shifts, identity thefts, and frauds, and interbranch are in collusion with them, a whole bunch of foreign, and themselves, through time. Uses overtly / insidiously of black and white, of little black kids, by investigators, investigations, and vetting of that, and investigations of that interbranch involved, and prison cliques, involved with their families, involved with, falsified police reports, identity thefts, frauds, everyone speaking through other no. Now these are 3 places at the end of the Burlington Turnpike that has judges and prosecutors and people involved with the Firenze family, with a whole bunch of houses on and off 2-route highway per them. Now they're bringing you guys sense and sensibilities into it. You should tell them to get them on paper so they don't have to use more people's names that I don't know. So I don't, and in other words, that kid was on a football team and I never had a conversation with him. There are people involved with that. This is one where there are 3 corners. There are 3. There are not 4 corners, but it's at the corner where Perone family is, in the house across the street with a book behind it. I don't know their name, but he was on my team for 1 year. The only reason I was on that team because of the confessions from the kid who used to hang out with my neighbor, but I never hung around with them. They used to try to film a couple of exceptions, but not with him. With like a Zano family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed, involved with Trinity College and with CCSU, with a whole bunch of people tied to federal criminals that with kids that were in my schools. But before that was found out. And then after that, they were also co-defendants of former director of the FBI in the 2006 district court case, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organization Act. And that was, this is since before the World Trade Center attack. There were courts, people associated with courts and their family members, Hartford courts and New Britain's courts, that were fabricating audio and video and transcripts for their roles with locations criminally. As locations in West Hartford and New Britain that were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people I don't know who were in my 6th grade class. And they brought up a Lance Cuddy. And now there are also Wethersfield police with name switching and other natures of predicate acts roles like worse than extortion alone. With the name, now they brought in the name Sullivan. There are also Sullivans on Park Street and that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with little insidious identity theft, frauds, roles, and with people from the Wethersfield Inter branch involved with predicate acts with them. Also with the other police forms involved, like FBI and CIA and their family members, involved with the predicate acts and the methods of them with the Wethersfield police. Also is evidence how they left out how the other police forms are involved with them. And the ones with badges with the physical delusions that are wrought with the opinion natures and conviction natures of the mental health experts. So that's why we have to counter their roles with the locations, crimes, fabricating audio and video, with the various natures of courts simultaneously, and with the people on off the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices like our Fianza family, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with that, with people with that, with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, and with the Dillon family, as the ones that are involved further with my new and past neighbors, forced to roles with them, everyone speaking through others and mixing in confessions, their roles with uses of investigations of that, and training of those interbranch that are also employed. Being and having been criminally foreign influence. Also, the Witness Protection Program has ties to my street. Also, mayors, retired and standing, are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also, election crimes against my family. And when I had to use their names, I said bad things because they're receiving fake, all kinds of adapting, shifting the names of arresting officers with different departments. And just for one department to be doing that is sick. And with private police forms and their family members. Also, per how it is recorded through time, they had and have roles with, what is actually recorded having transpired through time. They have recorded roles with uses of self-valued uses of where they have types of crimes like sexual abuse with the reports of Cub Scout sexual abuse. But see, those Cub Scouts are involved with other natures of abuses of boys and girls tied to their roles with the Dillon family. Also, people associated on and off 2 Route Highway, involved with foreign and domestic medical families, military families, and people all along Route 3 that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with fabricating audio and video with a whole bunch of other nations. Now, those are also people who attach me to fake locations, fake ties to them, sequence shifts. So they pretended I knew them in context I didn't. And that's also the ones with ties to the illusions being pretended in backgrounds where the campuses are involved with the courts, judges and family members, and prosecutors and their family members involved with locations criminally, while simultaneously having been involved with depositions and with campuses and with other locations in layers. Not legitimately, criminally, where they have the right to be criminally legitimate. But they've been doing, now their motivation, how they are kept, that's all used by worse. But we have to counter that and to discern that, actually record it, the breaching method. And collusion with it is discernible. So this has something to do with mayors and elections locations like Wethersfield town offices, People that had communications with my brother-in-law are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts against little kids, and against me, and against my father, and against my mother, and against themselves. Now, and against little kids, inter-cities, through time. Now, if they want to debate such, and then they go to, because then they use time treatments with courts that are already criminally involved with them. So we have also overt criminal enterprises again, and the witness protection program. And we have the fact-cheating nature relationships of the World Trade Center family's ties to Wethersfield Interbranch and Intermilitary, and of Washington, D.C., also recorded, confessed, demonstrated. There are houses on the near the corner of Meadowgate and Route 3, Maple Street. I don't know if it was a police form. They indicated it might not be their house. There's a black car, a little black car with like a racing stripe. I think it had tinted windows. And there's a Kerr house, also recorded, confessed, demonstrated by a whole bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court. They'll simultaneously pretend other, but they're forging names, switching names, and this is what is actually recorded. They are involved with predicate acts with private school kids, and with public school kids that are involved with identity theft, falsified police reports, where they aren't even aware of it because they're attaching everyone to fake locations. The news media also did this. They also pretend I had a relationship to doctors as a kid I never had. There are women at who were kids that I never had a class with when I was in high school that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this, which was people with identity theft, frauds, investigators, and vetting identities, setting up then so people walk up to me so that they can pretend that when I say I don't know them, they need to pretend I know them, where they're using time treatments. They set up traps like that you could see once you get the interbranch to one name and sequence. So they have Wethersfield town offices also involved with a whole bunch of other nations like Afghanistan, and like Italy with a Joe DeMoro, and with recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also involved with like people with Puerto Rico, involved with security companies and like prison cliques. I don't know these people, and though the only times I know them were contexts where they were recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. Roles with investigators, interbranch, fabricating audio and video, abuses of children, roles with the confessions that were implied by the one conversation, one sentence that Mr. Abruzzi, a fifth grade teacher I had to me, told me to do a maze of Joe DeMoro. Never saw him before that. Before that, a Debbie Gold and a Hartford police family, their kids, an O'Brien family. They were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also involved with fabricating audio, video, fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me, as people that had insights that others in themselves confessed, demonstrated, recorded, are tied to Central Connecticut State University and their roles with various natures of predicate acts and crime and methods of them that judges and prosecutors have roles with, and with a whole bunch of other nations and military and people that investigate inclusion, for example, per their actually recorded sequence shifts and uses of little black kids and adult black and white men and women. Still, delusions rock, criminally foreign influence, premises treatments, as criminal institutions natures that can't defend what they call integrity and us from what exploits the breaching method influenced takes on American history. You can't understand American history if you don't understand the fact-checking nature of slavery of James Madison and of our founding parents and how he countered it. Because his counter is the only one that matters. What caused the Boston Tea Party? What gave them unity to fathom what was not just England, not just the surface nations of the colonies. See how they have suits and ties? That's not just for legitimate reasons. You know, wherever that evolved from, in other words, I don't know if that has suit and ties then. It seems logical because of how delusional. How that we don't address the delusions because we have theories that are used inter-sciences while they have physical delusions with takes on uses of physics. Oh, but this is how we can make the curve, bring down the curve. We know. So you can't address the economy properly. All knowledge and experts of it being used. You can't address the economy properly if you don't address the breaching method that made it only capable of being captive entity, where it is tied to our quality of fact-treatment nature standing manifest as an identity of the ground, relationship to the value/value progression system perfect. That in relationship to these roads and these identity of the ground features that were our recorded, confessed, demonstrated, employed to the identity thefts and frauds method against our founding parents, let alone the people they did that most overtly to with that breaching method and rolls with it, pretending other too. That's frustrated fact-treatment nature responses. So we have some great doctors that died during the coronavirus because they don't know how to get resources. And when they do, all exceptions, exception, nature, and demonstration are the same thing. Everything is to keep that's sick. The modern infrastructure means to it. What could, this is a trap. This was since before cars, suburban homes, let alone urbans. Hartford was designed to be a suburban/urban city, and the houses were designed so they could be quickly converted into 2-family, 3-family houses. No, this is a different nature. And in this trap, where no one was watching how non-distinctly it was, is everyone being used with that which was sustained, a sustained breaching method, not just against black people, but that look how sickly distinctly, specifically for this. And these were a minority from every country, every physical culture, inclusion, with which you use them remote, entertaining the sciences criminally foreign influence, because as victim predators. So even if this is wrong, this theory/counter theory about an archetypal criminal enterprise, the predicate acts delivery system method was/is standing anyway. So we have to deal with the actually recorded. So CNN needs to follow mandated law. They've been coached to discredit people and pretend they're making conspiracy theories. When we ask to report simple crime acts and methods, like the people involved with the phones, with the campuses, and asking kids about how they feel, while at the same time they've been stacking sequence shifts into databases and doing sick things with their kids and through everyone, and making sick reactions maintained increasingly against everyone who's good. Who's everyone? Everyone is good. So, but this makes people evil. This makes people punks, fake. So they need to now to hide life progressions. We have too many investigations, too many names associated with too many actually recorded evidences involved predicate acts by the people that are only allowed to treat that. Victim predators. That's what stayed.